Our next author is Tulsa author and literary critic who just had her book published on early Oklahoma trailblazer Kate Barnard. Connie Cronley. If you've never heard of Kate Barnard, you're not alone, and some might say you could write a book about her. Connie, you did. Good morning.
I did. Good morning. Thank you for having me here to talk about Kate.
Yeah, A Life on Fire is the name of the book. Why did you decide to write it?
I wrote it because back in the 70s, when I was a young woman of 30 working at TU, University of Tulsa, I met our great Oklahoma historian, Dr. Angie DeBow, and we became good friends. And Dr. DeBow was the first woman to have her portrait hung, woman's portrait, in the state capitol. She was very pleased, but she said the honor should have gone to Kate Barnard. She wrote about Kate Barnard in her own books, like As Still the Waters Run. She had heard her speak, said she was the most mesmerizing speaker she ever heard. And so she followed Kate's career as it ascended and then crashed. And she said to me once when I was visiting her in Marshall, and that's just what her chair looked like in Marshall, you should write a book about Kate Barnard. More people should know about Kate Barnard. So eventually, I did.
So Dr. DeBow and Kate Barnard. So let's talk about, Kate, and we have a video that we can show, kind of a slideshow of her life. Women could not vote in the turn of the century, but she was elected to state office.
She was elected to state office before women could vote. She couldn't even vote for herself. Ugh. She was the most powerful and the most feared politician in the state. She was known nationally and was called the Good Angel of Oklahoma because her mission was social reform, criminal justice, mental health care, compulsory education for the poor. I mean, she was all of these great social justice campaigns, and the eyes of the nation were on the state at statehood in 1907. That look what we could become. And so we might say, and what have we become?
Well, and we just cut out a video right before we got to a large streetcar strike, but there's going to be some video we're going to see coming up here in just a moment. A large picture, it's a picture, way zoom out. You can't see Kate, but if we keep with the video, you're going to see hundreds, thousands of people at what was this?
3,000 people. This was a streetcar strike in Oklahoma City, and it was about to get out of control. And they said, the governor came out to address them, looked at the crowd, handed his notes to someone else and left. They said, get out Kate Barnard. So she came out on the balcony, and in the picture, this tiny little figure, and she spoke to the crowd.
There it is.
You could be way up on the balcony of the Urban Hotel.
She's speaking on the balcony when it was about to get out of control.
And calmed the, and that's the power of her oratory. Her voice carried literally to crowds of thousands.
So some of the issues that she fought for were not popular. You mentioned in the book about Native American orphan rights for Native American children, and you said that might have done her in.
That is what done her in. She had campaigned for rights for mental hospitals and compassionate care and penal reform and all that. But then she got involved with the Indian question, which is what it was called. And people said, now she has stopped preaching and started meddling. And here's the story. At that time, in this part of the state, eastern Oklahoma, 60,000 Indian miners owned 2/3 of the property. And not just the property, the timber rights, the coal rights, and then the oil rights. And by law, federal law, they had to have a legal guardian in county probate court. Well, these were the most unscrupulous people imaginable, and they were just scooping up all the Indian miners' fortunes, putting them in orphanages, and getting very rich. And somebody asked Kate, her office, to intervene. By this time, her office, which was Charities and Corrections, was known as the hell-raising department. And her lawyer intervened to restore their properties, and that meant all of this rich property that people were going after, she was standing between them and the money, and they said, she has to go.
How can people meet you and check out this book? How do we get a hold of this book?
Well, it's at Sweet Tooth on Harvard, Tulsa Historical Society. Magic City's out, but they're getting more this week. And I will be doing a signing tonight at the Press Club downtown in Boston. I hope people read the book because we should know and honor, not just Dr. DeBow, Kate Barnard.
And a lot to learn from her.
Yes.
Connie Cronley, thank you. As always, the book, A Life on Fire. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.